ikabubuti, mga pamilya at ng taong bayan.
Correct. Ano to?
Nadala niya lahat.
Naayos niya yung kanyang, na ano ha, iba ang mga pinagdaanan ng administrasyon ni President Duterte.
Kakaya.
Kaya mga tao ngayon din ay ikukontinue ni Akos sa mga proyekto at pulisiya ng dating Pangulong Duterte ni Pangulong kanyang nangyari.
Pero may mga kahit anong expectation natin, kahit magkapatid, magkakaibang style, di ba? So, ito, yan ang lahat ng galaw, kahit magkaiba yung style, okay na rin yun, di ba, mga partner?
Tama naman.
Kanina, pinlash yung action stars.
Oo nga eh.
Padilla, Estrada,
Dito lapid.
Bong Revilla.
Bong Revilla pa.
Apat sila eh. Four-star, sabi nga nila. Si Sandro, si Congressman, alimutan ko ulit, Congressman Sandro Marcos ng First
O, nakikita natin si Justice Secretary Rimulya.
Oo nga, diba sa likod.
Suki ni Mike yan.
Oo, kaibigan natin.
Kaibigan natin.
Ano pala Rex, Attorney Rex, Rolex Suplico, ang Vice President pala, wala pala itong sariling kanyang upuan.
Diyan sa
Oo,
Sona.
kasi kasama niya yung first family na
Patay mo lang.
Well, theoretically, ang vice president kasi, yung presidente. Siya wala sang role yun. Except na, siyempre, vice president ka, umupo ka sa gallery.
Nasa gallery sa harap.
Doon sa harapan kami.
Anong sa gallery?
Nasa gallery. Merong upuan
Yung
dyan.
directly opposite the rostrum. Yan, mamamaya.
Nandyan, kasi doon sa, yung gallery dyan, paikot eh. Doon sa mismong gitna, nandyan yung Vice President, tsaka yung ilang mga cabinet secretary. Tapos doon sa kabila, yung mga, doon sa kabilang kaliwang side, nandun yung mga diplomat. Tapos doon sa iba, yung mga business group. Magkakaiba yan.
So magkaharap siya ng malaking flag.
Yes. Ng Pangulo. Nakaharap siya doon sa Pangulo. Ang pagitan nila yung upuan ng mga senador at congressman. Pero nandyan siya. May upuan siya doon sa mga VIP talaga. Nandun ang Vice
Kasi ang
President.
alam ko sa Amerika, di ba, pag State of the Nation, ang Vice President, meron tong, kasi siya rin yung Senate President.
Senate President.
Correct.
Dito hindi siya.
Hindi siya.
Senate President.
Iba sa Amerika karon sila. Yung speaker sa Amerika at saka yung vice president, sila nagpipreside ng sa kanila sa Congress. Dito sa atin iba. Ayan, pero maganda itong balitang ito dahil kasi ang dami nagka-interest. Mukhang napuno talaga. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng invitation, lahat ng naimbitahan ay mukhang dumating talaga. Puno eh.
Yung ilaw doon sa kabilaan ng frente, no? Bago yun, di ba?
Oo nga.
Tingnan mo.
Sabi nila, maliwanag daw, pero sa dami ng tao, parang may tumadinig din eh. Kaya punong-puno talaga eh. So,
Yung dalawang ilaw na yan, no? Magkabilaan.
Yes.
Mula dati yun, ha?
wala yan. So, malaki yung pagkakaiba yan ng gallery. Kasi second
Tapos yung kabilaan ng flag, meron ng screen, no?
Makikita mo yan na pag nagsalita. Actually, sa paglatag pa lang ng Pangulo, mula doon sa PLL, mamumonitor na ng television yan eh. Kaya makikita na ng mga nasa loob ang galaw pag-alis ng Pangulo. Kasi diretso yun eh. Paglabas ng Pangulo, tuloy-tuloy na yan. So, may oras po yan. Eksakto 4 o'clock dapat yung mag-isimula ng Sona mismo ng ating Pangulo. Ayan, no? So, marami nagkakabang dito. Pati ho yung mga nanonood dito at sa abroad, dyan lang po kayo dahil lahat tayo may mga kanyang pananaw pero hanggat natin naririnig official ang Sona ay wala pa tayong masasabi. Di ba, Tony?
Ay, gusto ko lang pong batiin ang mga nanonood sa atin.
Ayan.
Nasa 107,000 na raw tayo sa YouTube. At
Salamat po.
17,000.
Kasama kayo namin. May merenda kayo. Pero kami dito, okay lang po. Salamat sa kanila, di ba, Tony? Marami dyan, mga taga-Iloilo siguro.
Mga taga-Iloilo rin sa abroad. Mga Ingo.
Alam mo ba, Sas, na si Atty. mula nung ma-expose sa television ito, dumami ang kamag-anak at kaibigan nito. Worldwide, hindi lang sa Iloilo.
Para namang Sir Mike, hindi mo rin yan naranasan. Naranasan naman natin yan.
Kasi na po kayo, yung sarili ko natin, napapag-usapan.
Pero Mike, makikita mo talaga ang pagbabago ng plenary hall.
Yes, ang laki.
Iba talaga, no? Maski yung arrangement ng upuan, in almost every sense.
Iba talaga.
Now imagine what you and government can achieve together. Yesterday cannot make that anymore. Sure and quicker the prospect of achieving our future. Never forget, we are Filipinos. One nation, one republic, indivisible.
pinduto ng kuan.
Wala, hindi ko pinagkab.
At pinakinggan ko ang tinig ninyo na ang sinisigaw ay pagkakaisa, pagkakaisa, pagkakaisa.
Kapag mo yung screen ko.
Ano?
Kapag mo yung screen ko.
Ano kasi galaw-galawin? Naka-live yun eh. Galaw-galawin mo.
Parang tatay mo talaga sa kanya. No? Parang pagalakat, tatay mo talaga. Ang buhok mo.
Ganyan.
Kaya ano. Yung sinabi parang nalag tayo.
Ito nga rin. Pala, ganyan talaga yun. Ano na ano yun yung nasa sa screen mo? Ano mo na napindot mo ito?
Siya siguro yun. Oo, yan. Mga program. Kaya natin may kasi sandali. Ha? Nandun sa pinaka-main lobby. Nasa loob na po siya. Nasa loob na mismo siya ng session hall. Pero parte ng session hall yung lobby niya. Ayan na po. Tumigil. Ayun na. So, parang ito ngayon ha. Dati tuloy-tuloy ang presidente dyan.
Ayan guys, manood tayo ng live ng Sona ni Pbbm for the first time.
Maganda yung shot, no?
First Sona ni Pangulong Pbbm.
Talagang mag-isa siya. Maganda yung ginawa
Unit,
ng first family kasi nauna na.
Unity Team Mabuhay
Isa yan sa nakita ko.
2022.
Ang ganda ng mga shots.
Wala siyang
Yan
pistol.
guys,
Silang maglakad na sa loob
sa'yo
na.
papunta na sa
Oh, yan na yun.
Binyo.
Ayan na, tuloy-tuloy na
Kasam,
yan.
ganyan ba?
Ayan,
Ganyan ba before
siya
na
sinalubong ng mga
pinakamayang
kanyang
lugar?
mga
Sa gitna kasi dumaan yan eh.
mga
Sa floor mismo dumaan yan.
kasamaan
Ano?
sa kapartido niya, siyempre yung mga
Okay. So, tapos diretso na siya taas. Doon talaga ang daan sa pinaka-main eh. Para dadaan ka dyan sa
mga
mga congressman, senador,
Ano yun?
o mga congressman para kakamay.
kalyado niya.
Oh.
Ayan, mga senator, mga appointed niya.
Kongresista at mga senadores.
So ayan guys, panoorin nyo.
Sa koridor, sa gitna. Kasi dadaan ng presidente doon.
Oh, yan.
Yan.
Sinasakay na ng mga senador. Ayan, si Senator Villanueva.
Yan, doon si Jojo
Ayan,
Villanueva, oh.
mga
Senator.
lang. Tapos diretso na yan
Yung
doon sa
maputi ang buhok.
taas. At
Si
mabilis yan ang ano niya.
Tisdaman.
Ang bilis na yan. Oo.
Nanalo pa rin.
Magkatrabaho yung ating bagong Senate President at saka House Speaker.
At siyempre yung
At
presidente
diretso
natin,
yan.
lagi
So,
naka-smile.
Aabot ng eksaktong mga 4 o'clock ay magsimula yan. Pero siyempre may flags, mayroong pang mga national anthem, tapos mga prayer ng iba-ibang lahi, iba-ibang relihiyon.
Ayan,
Tapos,
maraming nag-aabang
Upo doon
sa Sona ni Pbbm.
ng speaker at saka
Kung
ng
ano
Senate
ba ang
President.
Para yung first time ito dalawa. Ang speaker at saka
Sasabihin
Senate
sa
President.
persona niya.
Oo.
Tatlo sila.
Oo, pala silang tatlo.
So ayan na siya sa taas. Abangan natin, magsasalita na sila. Ang pinakaabangan ng lahat,
Talagang makikinig siya.
mga
Makikita ng
kapatid.
buong mundo.
Presidente mo na unang uupo.
Ayan.
Ayan si Miguel Subiri.
Okay. Kaya na ngayon.
At siyempre yung si
Nasa lupang nira na tayo.
Romaldes, yung nasa kaliwa. Nasa kanan si Miguel Subiri. Ayan na, mag-start na guys.
Wala yung audio ng speaker natin.
Walang audio.
Ba't walang audio yung speaker at saka Senate President?
Please rise for the
Ayan
singing
na,
of
guys.
the Philippine National Anthem. To be led by
So,
the
siyempre, bago mag-start,
of Ilocos
ah,
Norte.
kantay muna natin yung Lupang Hinirang. Sa bisag ng ating bayan. Ayan guys. Napaka-special pa guys. At siyempre, sumasakit na yung kamay ko sa kakahawak nitong cellphone ko. Ayan guys, yung mga senator natin. Si Sandro, ano, si Lito Lapid.
Ano naman ang screen mo?
Ang pinakaabangan ng lahat, magsasalita na si
For the nation's
Pangulong Pbbm.
aming manlilikha, tagapagbigay buhay at liwanag ng sangkatauhan. Salamat po sa iyong pagtangkilig at paggabay sa bansang Pilipinas. Salamat po. Ngayon kaming lahat ng mga pamayan at mga pinuno tungo sa dakilang pagkakaisa
Ayan.
na magbubunga ng ibayong
Ayan,
kapayapaan,
si kanapin si
kaulan
Pangulong Marcos.
kasaganaan
Ayan guys,
at
meron
kasiyahan
update
ng
sa
lipunan
Pbbm.
Pilipino.
Magpatuloy po tayo sa personal na panalangin. Mangyaring ang bawat isa ay tahimik na manawagan sa may kapal.
Unang State of the Nation ni address ni President Ferdinand Marcos Bongbong Jr. Siyempre yung kasama ko dito naganggalay tinasagkag. Asar na asar. Ayan guys, ba't ganyan gaya? Ba't ganyan?
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of the Congress of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.,
Yes, Romaldes.
President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Romualdez, ang presidente sa Sona.
Salamat sa nanonood dyan ng viewers. Thank you po sa like. Ayan guys, nagsasalita ko yung Pangulo natin. Ayan, maganda na pagkakuha ng ayan, magaling yung direction na kinuha ni Bongbong. Kasi kita lahat.
Ang screen mo.
Thank you ma'am. Thank you sa tansa ma'am.
Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte,
Ayan talaga. Siyempre una
former
natin yung bahay.
Presidents Joseph Ejercito Estrada, Gloria Magalarroyo,
Ayan.
and Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Senate President Miguel Subiri, Most Reverend Charles John Brown, and the esteemed members of the Diplomatic Corps,
Yan, nakita nyo guys, walang
the
kudigo
honorable
guys.
members of the cabinet,
Yan,
Walang script.
our
walang
First
scripted,
Lady,
walang,
Luisa Araneta
walang script,
Marcos,
walang
and
hindi kagaya ng mga nakalipas natin mga presidente.
Bulakay.
Walang mga kay Apulakay, walang binabasa.
ang mga
Oo, tingnan
minahal
guys.
kong mga kababayan,
Ganyan katalino ang presidente.
ladies and gentlemen, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Magandang hapon din po.
I come for you today to address you
Pagkaawang
as it is my
Hindi
duty
ka na ng
as President of
pagkaaristuhan
the
guys.
Republic.
At saka siyempre,
We live in
nakita nyo
difficult
gano'ng
times,
katalino yung
brought
dating
about by
presidente.
some forces of our own
Walang
making,
binabasa na
but
kudigo.
certainly also by forces that are beyond
Ano
our
lang mga
control.
masaklap, may dumadaan.
But we have, and we will continue to find solutions. And these are some of them. In terms of the economy, we will implement a sound fiscal
Ayan guys, ang
management.
inabangan ng lahat.
Tax administration reforms will be in place to increase revenue collection. Expenditure priorities will be realigned and spending efficiency will be improved to immediately address the economic scarring arising from the effects of COVID-19 and also to prepare for future shocks. Productivity-enhancing investments will be promoted. Our country must become an investment destination, capitalizing on the corporate recovery and tax incentives for enterprises through the CREATE law and the economic liberalization laws such as the Public Service Act
Grabe ba
and the
talino?
Foreign Investments
Walang
Act.
kung binabasa.
Ecozones will be fully supported to bring in strategic industries such as those engaged in
Ganyan
high-tech
katalino yung ating
manufacturing,
presidente.
health, and
Kaya,
medical care,
31 million.
Wala sa puso
emerging
talaga yung
technologies.
sinasabi mo.
Mula sa puso,
This is
31
also
million.
seen to facilitate economic growth
Congratulations. Sa ating lahat,
of
mabuhay
Metro.
ang Pinas.
Our
Siyempre
tax
kay
system
Mike
will be
Yusuf Vlog.
adjusted in order to catch up with the rapid
Sabi
developments
ko
of
sa
the
assistant
digital
niya,
economy,
galit na galit.
including the imposition of value-added tax on digital service products. The initial revenue impact will be around 11.7
Ayan,
billion
guys.
pesos in 2023 alone.
Walang kudigo. Galing na galing sa
Compliance
puso.
procedures will be simplified to promote ease of paying taxes. We will pursue measures to determine possible undervaluation and or trade misinvoicing of imported goods. Through information and communications technology, the Bureau of Customs will promote streamlined processes. Disbursements for 2022 to 2023 will be maintained at above 20%
Wala bang
of
bilawan
gross
dyan?
domestic product or 4.955 trillion pesos and 5.086 trillion pesos respectively to ensure continuous implementation of priority programs. Disbursement will further increase over the medium term from 5.402 trillion pesos or 20.7% of our GDP in 2024 to 7.712 trillion pesos or 20.6% of GDP in 2028. The medium-term fiscal strategy of this administration seeks to attain short-term macro-fiscal stability while remaining supportive of the country's economic recovery and to promote medium-term fiscal sustainability. Furthermore, and more importantly, fiscal policy aims to bring together the national government's resources so that these are mobilized and utilized in order to gain the maximum benefit and the high multiplier effects for our economy. Measurable medium-term macroeconomic
Ayan,
and
si
fiscal
Lapid.
objectives include the following headline numbers. These are based on forecasts that are consistent with the guiding principles of coherence of strategies, policy discipline, and fiscal
Ayun, nakikita ko
sustainability.
si Amy, oh.
6.5 to 7.5% real gross domestic product growth in 2022. 6.58% real GDP growth annually between 2023 and 2028. 9% or single-digit poverty rate by 2028. 3% national government deficit to GDP ratio by 2028. Less than 60% national government debt to GDP ratio by 2025. At least 4,250 $56 income per capita and the attainment of upper middle income status by 2004. The aforementioned headline goals summarize the objectives of this medium-term fiscal
Grabe
strategy
talino.
being submitted to
Galing
Congress
talaga sa puso yung
for
nasabi.
its adoption and concurrence to the concurrent resolution by the Senate and House of Representatives. Once adopted, the MTFF will become an anchor for the annual spending and financing plan of the national government and Congress when preparing the annual budget and undertaking related appropriation activities. It is therefore a forward-looking document that extends beyond the traditional 3-year horizon to reach 6 years, coinciding with the 6-year coverage of the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028. The MTFF also promotes transparency and credible commitment to pursue the indicated socio-macroeconomic goals that optimize the government budget. Medium-term growth targets and the assumptions regarding key macroeconomic variables underpin the medium-term fiscal plan. The recent past and the COVID-19 pandemic has beset the macroeconomic environment with challenges and a series of external shocks. Inflation has accelerated in recent months due largely to significant increases in international prices of oil and other key commodities.
Sa akin, ipan mo.
Still, the economic growth momentum remains firm as demonstrated by the strong
Hindi naman makita niya.
2022 first GDP growth at 8.3%. However, the recovery process from the impact of the pandemic is still ongoing amid elevated uncertainty in the international economic environment. Revisions in the macroeconomic assumptions incorporate these challenges and most recent economic developments leading to upward adjustments in the following. Inflation rate for 2022 to 2023,
Ayan, si 10,000.
foreign exchange rate for 2023 to 2025, and goods and services import growth for 2022. The economy is expected to grow by 6.5 to 7.5% this year as we continue to reopen the economy while considering the recent external developments. In the first quarter alone, GDP saw an increase in household consumption and private investments, along with a robust manufacturing industry, high vaccination rate, improved healthcare capacity, and an upward trend in tourism and employment. This is expected to continue for the rest of the year.
Yes, TV.
The strong economic growth is projected to be sustained and expanded further to 6.5 to 8% from 2023 until 2028. The average inflation for 2022 is projected to range from 4.5 to 5.5%, following the uptick in fuel and food prices as a result of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict and the disrupted supply chains. It is slightly adjusted to 2.5 to 4.5% in 2023 and is seen to return to the target range of 2.0 to 4.0% by 2024 until 2028. Dubai crude oil price is expected to settle at 90 to 110 US dollars per barrel in 2022. 80 to 100 US dollars per barrel in 2023 and 70 to 90 US dollars per barrel from 2024 onwards as oil supply is expected to catch up and stabilize over the medium term. The Philippine peso is projected to average between 51 to 53 pesos per US dollar in 2022 and 51 to 55 pesos per US dollar from 2023 onwards due to aggressive monetary policy tightening by the US Federal Reserve, market aversion amid the Russian-Ukraine conflict, and again, increased global oil prices. Lastly, exports and goods are expected to grow by 7% in 2022 and 6% from 2023 to 2028. On the other hand, Imports of goods are projected to grow by 18% in 2022, 6% in 2023, and 8% from 2024 to 2028. I have instructed the NEDA to coordinate with other agencies and work on the Philippine Development Plan for 2023 to 28 and to submit to me the complete blueprint and progress of its implementation not later than year end. One of the main drivers of our push for growth and employment will be in the agricultural sector. With regard to food supply, we are confronted by a two-pronged problem. That which will hit us in the short term and that which will hit us in the long term. Tayo ay nahaharap sa mga problemang kagyat nating mararamdaman at mga hamong pangmatagalan. Ang mga suliraning agarang nararamdaman ng ating mga kababayan ay ang posibilidad ng tuloy-tuloy na pagsipa ng presyo ng pagkain at kakulangan sa supply ng ating pagkain. Upang masuportahan ang mabimili para mapanatili ang kanilang purchasing power o kapangyarihan sa pagbili. Isinapinal ng Department of Agriculture ang planong taasan ang produksyon sa susunod na panahon ng pagtanim o planting season sa pamamagitan ng tulong pinansyal at teknikal. Magbibigay tayo ng pautang habang mas ilalapit natin sa sektor ng agrikultura ang hindi gaanong mahal na farm inputs na bibilhin na ng bulto ng
Malay
gobyerno.
ba ko tapos ikon sa
Kabilang
tempo
dito
niya.
ang abono, pestisidyo, mga punla, feeds, fuel subsidy at ayuda para sa mga karapat-dapat na benepisyaryo. Para sa pangmatagalang solusyon, itataas natin ang produksyon ng mga kalakal at produktong pang-agrikultura. At para magawa ito, pagtitibayin natin ang tinatawag na value chain na nagsisimula sa mga magsasaka hanggang sa mga namimili. May mga bahagi ng value chain na sa ngayon ay kanya-kanya ang operasyon. Pagtibayin natin ang koordinasyon ng iba't ibang bahagi nito. Ang pagsasaliksik para sa mga makabagong paraan at ng pagtatanim at pag-aalaga ng hayop ay masusing gagabayan ng Department of Agriculture. Ang produksyon ng farm inputs o mga kakailanganin ng mga magsasaka sa pagpapalago ng kanilang sakahan ay ating iaayon sa mga hamong dala ng climate change at global warming. Mahigpit na pagsusuri ang gagawin ng ating mga eksperto tungkol dito. Ang mga pautang at financial assistance sa mga magbubukid at mangingisda ay magiging institusyon at patakaran ng aking administrasyon. Ipapaprioridad natin ang modernisasyon ng mga sakahan sa pamamagitan ng mga makabagong teknolohiya para sa ating mga magsasaka. Ating palalawakin ng mga palaisdaan, babuyan at manukan. Lahat ng ito gagamitan ng siyensya para tumaas ang produksyong agrikultural. Maging ang post-production at processing ay susuportahan ng pamahalaan. Gagawa tayo ng national network ng farm-to-market road upang mas mabilis na mailakbay ng mga magsasaka ang kanilang mga produkto sa mga pamilihan. At gagawa tayo ng mga paraan upang maramdaman ng mga mamimili ang pagluluwag ng presyo ng mga produktong pagkain sa kayang halaga. Kaya ng muling pagbubuhay ng mga kadiwa center. Hindi ito magagawa sa isang araw. Hindi magagawa sa isang buwan o isang taon lamang. Ngunit, kailangan na natin simulaan ngayon. Reform program ay dapat magpatuloy. Agrarian reform is not only about acquisition, but also about support services and distribution. To assist this, I intend to issue an executive order to impose a 1-year the payment.
Sige.
This is included in Republic Act number 11469 or the Bayanihan to Heroes 1 Act. A moratorium will give the farmers the ability to channel resources in developing their farms, maximizing their capacity to produce and propel the growth of our economy. Civil society organizations also support this because it will unburden the farmers of their dues and be able to focus on improving farm productivity. Congress must also pass a law that will emancipate the agrarian reform beneficiaries from the agrarian reform debt burden, thereby amending Section 26 of Republic Act 6657. In this law, the loans of agrarian reform beneficiaries with unpaid amortization and interest shall be condoned. Layunin ng batas na ito ay burahin ang hindi mabayarang utang ng ating mga magsasaka na benepisyaryo ng agrarian reform. Agrarian reform beneficiaries who are still to receive their awarded land under the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program shall receive it without any obligation to pay any amortization. The condonation of the existing agrarian reform loan will cover the amount of 58.125 billion pesos, benefiting 654,000 agrarian reform beneficiaries and involving a total of 1.18 million hectares of awarded lands. Executive Order number 75, Series 2019, requires that all government 8,000 hectares of used agricultural lands of government, which shall now be used for distribution to the following sectors in accordance with Section 40 of the Republic Act number 6657 as amended. Thus, landless war veterans, landless surviving spouse and orphans of war veterans, landless retirees of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police. Agricultural lands acquired under this program will be given to graduates of college degrees in agriculture who are land graduates of college degrees in agriculture who are landless. The call of the times is for the infusion of fresh and new blood in the agricultural sector. We need a new breed of farmers equipped with modern agricultural technology able to engage in sustained scientific farming that will not only increase farm yields but also resilience in the face of climate change. They say that each brand has a story. As for the Filipino brand, ours is deeply rooted in our rich cultural heritage, and the tourism sector plays an invaluable role in the promotion of the Filipino brand. Tourism is not only an important economic development tool, but the abundance of opportunities that the sector creates in terms of regular employment and even job creation at the grassroots level is undeniable. To boost our tourism industry, we will first and foremost make basic developments, such as road improvements for easier access to tourism spots. We will also upgrade our airports and create more international airports to help decongest. More international airports to help decongest the bottleneck in the Manila airport. We will also make it more convenient for travelers to go around the country, even to remote areas, to help promote undiscovered tourist spots. This program will be led by the Department of Tourism together with the Department of Public Works and Highways. To foster the Filipino brand is to spark our sense of pride and reaffirm our strong sense of
Ay,
identity.
yun sa kanya, dala ko media
It
yun
is
eh.
time to welcome the rest of the world
Nabuboring yung
with an
nanonood, pero may
enhanced
patawa siya.
Filipino brand that is unique,
Bilis pa rin siya, kasi
attractive,
medyo
and
patawa.
creative.
Hindi nabuboring
The
yung mga
creativity of
nanonood.
the Filipino
Ay,
is truly
seryoso.
world class. We excel in arts and culture, new media, live events, avenues which generate primary and downstream jobs for our creative and
Ay, si Mark.
talented countrymen.
Sorry.
Unfortunately, ang mga hanap buhay na ito ang unang pinadapa ng pandemya at ang pinakahuli namang makabalik sa normal. The creative industry likewise faces many challenges, including workplace conditions, working hours, intellectual property rights, and the welfare of our beloved freelancers who were left vulnerable during the height of the pandemic. We require an institutionalized creative industry that will advance the interest of its stakeholders. Sila na nagbibigay ng kaluluwa
Nandyan si
at
Aroy.
pagkakilala sa ating pagka-Pilipino.
Lahat talaga ng Sona, nandyan si
Protektahan natin
Aroy.
sila.
Sona Tatay Bigo, nandyan din siya.
Isang nga eh.
Sa lahat ng presidente, siya ang maraming person.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development has a large part to play in all of this.
Si Ramos ka, nandyan.
Magpapatuloy ang ating pagkalinga sa ating mga
Sirap, nandiyan na
kababayan
sirap.
na lubos na nangangailangan.
Hindi lang natawa,
Hindi
hindi
po
lang
natin sila pababayaan. Mangunguna sa pag-aagapay sa kanila ang Department of Social Welfare and Development. Utos ko sa DSWD ang mabilis na pagtugon sa pangangailangan ng mga biktima ng kalamidad at mga iba't ibang krisis. Ang mga field office nila ay inatasan na maagang maglaga ng family food packs at non-food essentials sa mga LGU. Bago pa man manalasa ang anumang kalamidad.
Mabuti lang, nasarap na ako nakakuha ng video eh.
Tayo ng mga operation
Kasi,
center, warehouse at
nagpapasok ko ng
imbakan
security guard
ng
yun.
relief goods, lalo na sa mga malalayong lugar na mahirap marating. Titiyakin natin na maayos ang koordinasyon ng DSWD at Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development nang sa ganun madali ang pagpatupad ng Emergency Shelter Assistance Program para sa mga biktima ng kahit anong kalamidad. Titibayin pa natin ang komprehensibong programang Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations o ang ating tinatawag na AICS para may parating ang tulong sa mas maraming biktima. Hindi natin
Maraming sa matalakay niya.
Hindi natin papahirapan ang mga biktima ng krisis na dudulog sa ahensya. Gagawin nating simple ang proseso ng
Pero naman mayroon pa po na dyan.
at
Ganun siya
pagparating
nagsasabi
ng
sa
tulong.
puso.
Lahat naman ng
Sona.
Hindi naman dapat dinadagdagan pa
Wala kami
ang
narinig na
hirap
sinabi
ng
niya
nararanasan ng ating mga mamamayan.
Meron naman dyan po na dyan.
Upang matiyak na mapupunta sa kwalipikadong mga pamilya ang tulong na pamahalaan sa mapapamagitan na Fourth Phase o Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program, titiyakin natin na malilinis ang listahan ng benepisyaryo. Higit na
Kanyang
sa
hawak-hawak
1
niya
milyong pangalan
Yung DSWD
na
eh.
ang nakapag-graduate na sa listahan.
Dati si Jinky Sulaiman.
Nagagalak akong mabatid na sila ay nakakatayo na sa kanilang sariling paa. Ay inutusan ko ang DSWD na pag-ipayuhin pa ang pagripaso ng listahan upang maitutok ang pamimigay ng sapat na ayuda sa mga lubos na nangangailangang pamilya. Magpapatuloy ang supplemental feeding program para sa mga bata sa child development centers at supervised neighborhood play at lalo pa natin palalawakin sa taong
Saving
2023.
taon ng mga Notre Dame.
Hindi rin natin nakakalimutan ang mga solo parents at mga nanay na nahiwalay sa kanilang mga mister dahil sa karasan. Pagtitibayin natin ang programa sa violence against women and their children. Kabilang na ang counseling para sa mga biktima, katuwang ang ating LGU. Tiyakin natin na sapat ang pondo sa halos 70 residential care centers at 7 non-residential care
Ay, ano
centers
na?
para sa vulnerable
Sarah
sectors
Harbay.
at persons
Nakakuha,
with disabilities
Naka-question
na
ah.
sumisilong dito.
Naka-question siya eh.
Sa ating sitwasyon ng pangkalusugan,
Talagang mga yung
nariyan pa rin ang banta
mga kuwan eh, mga
ng COVID-19.
bawin niya eh.
Lalo't may mga nadidiscovering bagong variant ng coronavirus. Pero hindi na natin kakayanin ang isa pang lockdown. Wala na tayong gagawing lockdown.
Wow! Thank you, thank you. Kuha ng lockdown. Lalo na gugutom yung mga tao. Salamat, President.
Dapat natin balansehin ng maayos ang kalusugan at kapakanan ng ating mga mamamayan sa isang banda.
Sana wala ng lockdown.
Ekonomiya
Thank you,
naman
President.
Sa kabilang banda.
Wala na nga.
Hindi nakakatuloy yung lockdown eh.
Iba't ibang
Laging
ahensya
kawawa yung mga tao.
ng pamahalaan sa pag-monitor sa mga COVID-19 hospital admission upang makatiyak tayo
Yun yung
na
ano
may
ni
sapat na
Tatay
kapasidad ang ating healthcare
Sa health.
system at maiwasan
Wala na,
ang
dapat wala ng
pagsipa
lockdown
ng
kasi
bilang ng
kawawa yung mga
nagkakasakit.
tao.
Patuloy din ang ating vaccine booster rollout para sa ating pangkalahatang depensa.
Ano pa?
Sa ganitong
Wala
paraan,
na tayong gagawin ng lockdown.
kahit pa
Tama
tumaas
eh.
muli ang
Ikaw
bilang
yung
ng
mga
mga
tao.
COVID cases, mananatiling mababa ang bilang
Galing
ng
talaga.
mga maospital at bilang na unti-unti rin tayong nasanay na nariyan ang virus pero hindi na seryoso ang sa ating buhay. Iaayon natin ang ating mga health protocols sa kung ano ang ating pangangailangan sa paglipas ng panahon at lalo pang iipayuhin ang kooperasyon kasama ang pribadong sektor upang tumas pa ang
Health.
kumpiyansa ng mga pamumunuan nang sa gayon ay bumalik na tayo sa full capacity lalo-lalo na ang ating mga negosyo.
Galing talaga eh.
Pagbubutihan pa natin ang pagpapakalat ng tamang impormasyon ukol sa COVID kasama ang kahalagahan ng bakuna. Mananatili muna sa ngayon ang alert level system natin. Pinapag-aralan natin ang ibang paraan ng klasifikasyon upang mas babagay sa kasalukuyang sitwasyon lalong-lalo na sa pagbabago ng COVID. Sa pakikipagtulungan ng Kongreso, itatatag natin ang ating sariling Center for Disease Control and Prevention at ang isang Vaccine Institute.
Sabihin dito.
Tatayo tayo ng dagdag na mga health center at ospital. But beyond the issues that the pandemic has brought, the need for a stronger healthcare system is self-evident. We must bring services, medical services to the people and not wait for them to come to our hospitals and healthcare centers. Napakinabangan natin ng gusto ang malalaking specialty hospital gaya ng Heart Center, Lung Center, Children's Hospital at National Kidney and Transplant Institute. Kaya maliwanag na hindi lang dapat dito sa National Capital Region kundi maging sa ibang parte ng bansa.
Hindi na rin siya.
Grabe, sabi-sabi puta.
Ngayon pumasok ko. Ngayon sa tingnan ko naman. Pati na ang guide mo.
Maliwanag na hindi lamang dapat dito lamang sa National Capital Region kundi maging sa ibang parte ng bansa, kailangan magdagdag ng ganitong uri ng mga pagamutan. Bukod dito, upang mailapit natin ang healthcare system sa taong bayan, nang hindi sila kailangan pumunta sa sentro ng bayan, lalawigan o region, ay maglalagay tayo ng mga clinic, mga RHU, na pupuntahan ng mga doktor, nurse, midwife, medtech,
Sabi
isang
kasi,
beses,
yan yung
dalawang
dati
beses sa
eh.
isang linggo. Nang sa ganun,
Hey!
magiging mas
Salamat.
madali sa may
Yung mga mahirap, walang pamasahe.
pagpapagamot ng hindi
Yung mga walang pamasahe.
magbiyahe ng malayo.
Semi-hospital.
Oo. Walang pamasahe. Hindi na magproblema kasi malapit na yung mga doktor.
Cornerstones of a strong healthcare
Salamat
system
po,
is the
President.
provision of competent and efficient medical
Kagaya ng dati yan eh.
professionals. We will exert all
Tapos sa
efforts to
eskwelahan,
improve the welfare
pupunta yung mga
of our
nurse, mga doktor.
doctors, our nurses, and other medical frontliners.
Grabe, ganyan talagang babalik na yung dati.
Dapat din tayong magkaroon ng sapat na supply ng gamot na kinakailangan sa pang-araw-araw ng ating mga mamamayan. Sinimulan ko na ang pakikipag-usap sa mga kumpanya ng gamot dito sa
Thank you,
Pilipinas
Mr. President.
at sa ibang bansa.
Thank you po.
Hinihikayat natin na buksan nila ang merkado upang bumaba ang presyo ng gamot. Halimbawa, kung mas marami ang mas murang generic o hindi branded na gamot sa merkado, mas bababa rin ang presyo dahil sa kompetisyon. Ang Department of Trade and Industry ay nakikipag-usap sa mga interesadong manufacturer ng generic drugs na papasok sa ating bansa. Inuutusan ko naman ang Philippine Competition Commission na
Parang dati pa rin tatay niya.
dapat
Kasi
ang
nakandang
walang
din.
kartel
Sa hospital
sa
sa
hanay
eskwelahan.
ng mga pharmaceutical companies.
Kalapit talaga mga tao.
Dahil kapag bukas ang merkado, bababa ang presyo ng gamot para mapakinabangan ng ating mga mamamayan. This is one of the hard lessons that we learned when the pandemic struck, and therefore we must act on that shortcoming.
Dapat sa drugs. Sabihin niya.
In the educational sector, I believe it is time for our children to return to full face-to-face classes once again.
Wow, thank you. Kasi yung mga bata walang natutunan.
Asawa niya, nakatapos yung asawa.
Yung mga bata walang natutunan.
The Department
Lagi
of
na lang
Education,
module.
led by our highly able Vice President Sara Duterte,
Yung mga bata,
is now
nagmumudyo lagi. Magulang ang umaanswer. Yung mga bata naglalaro.
preparing for its implementation in the upcoming school year with utmost consideration for the safety of students as we are still in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. We must ensure that our classrooms are safe for teachers, for students, and the entire academic community when they return to face-to-face classes. We continue to encourage everyone to get their booster shots in preparation for the resumption of in-person classes. This is one of the reasons I have directed the Department of Health and the Department of Interior and Local Government to undertake another rollout of booster shots. The condition and availability of schoolrooms for our students must also be addressed. Again, in coordination with the Department of Public Works and Highways. Though some complications have arisen over the question of repair of school buildings in relation to the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, this will be ironed out. We have been in discussion with local government leaders, governors, and mayors in the last few weeks to determine with the LGUs what is actually practicable, what functions belong to the LGUs, and what belong to the national government. There have also been lengthy discussions on the continuation and viability of the K-12 school system. We are giving this careful review, and all necessary inputs and points of view are now being controlled in technology, especially in this post-pandemic world. As for the horror stories that we have heard about the poor quality of educational materials and supplies that are being given to our schools, this must end. Our children must always be equipped with the best that we can provide. Ang edukasyon ay ang tanging nating pamana sa ating mga anak na hindi mawawaldas. Kaya anumang gastusin sa kanilang pag-aaral ay hindi tayo nagtitipid. Hindi rin tayo nagtatapon. And once again,
This video is
I'm not
courtesy
talking about
to
history or what is being taught. I'm
this
talking about materials that are necessary for effective teaching in this day and age. Children now need connectivity to the internet. They need devices to use. They need computers, educational tools.
Ayan, si Sandro. Nakaluwa si Sandro.
They might participate fully in the digital community here and abroad. We must do better in the international rankings, especially when it comes to the so-called STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Wala na
These
dyan eh.
skills,
Pangit akong
this
video.
knowledge
Yo.
are necessary for our young people to be able to compete in a highly technological and competitive world. The raw talent is there in our young people. It is up to our educational system to develop and to refine that great pool of talent. Foreign employers have always favored Filipino employees because of our command of the English language. This is an advantage that we must continue to enjoy. The internet has now become the global marketplace, not only for goods, services, but also for ideas, even extending to our own personal interactions. And the language of the internet, for better or for worse, is English. Therefore, the question of our medium instruction must be continuously re-examined to maintain that advantage that we have as an English-speaking people. On a related subject, we are entering an age of exponential adoption of technology. It is the fourth industrial revolution. This will be characterized by the infusion of technology into almost every facet of our lives. Breakthrough technologies in the areas of quantum computing, artificial intelligence, nanotechnologies, the Internet of Things, robotics, self-driving electric vehicles, 3D printing, virtual and augmented realities, among others, that will radically transform the way business is done. The scale and the speed at which these innovations are introduced universally into our everyday lives and activities is unprecedented in our recorded history. We cannot stand idly by. The mission of our Department of Information and Communications Technology is to identify and utilize these innovations to improve governance. It has the daunting task now of transforming our government into an agile bureaucracy that is responsive to the needs of the public. Provide good and solid data to ensure informed decision-making, as well as allow secure and seamless access to public services. The voluminous records stored in the government warehouses and archives have to be digitized. Those that are already stored in various inventories of data should be harmonized and shared across departments and agencies. Needless to say, these have to be kept in large data centers that are secure yet accessible. The national ID will play an important part in this digital transformation. For citizens to be able to seamlessly transact with government, their identity must be easily verifiable. We expect to issue 30 million physical IDs and 20 million digital IDs by the end of this year. The target is to reach the issuance of about 92 million IDs by the middle of next year. As the world moves into rapid digitalization, the digital divide will become more pronounced. The depth and breadth at which these technologies will be transformative in our lives is fully expected. This will open new opportunities for the creation of wealth, but will also likely create inequalities. Hence, universal connectivity will be a vital component in order to ensure that no citizen is left behind.
Parang i-deploy yun.
Nakikita mo yung sinasabi doon.
I have therefore tasked the DICT to deploy digital connectivity across our various islands. This will be done through the implementation of the National Broadband Plan, the Common Tower Program, connecting our geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas via our Broadband ng Masa project. Relevant modes of digital transport should be utilized. These may be through a combination of terrestrial or submarine fiber optics, wireless, and even satellite technology. As our Public Service Act has opened the doors and removed the restrictions on foreign investment, we foresee an increase in direct investment of overseas players. This will translate into better quality, availability, and affordability of telecommunication services all over the country. We come now to infrastructure. The backbone of an economy is its infrastructure. The infrastructure program of the Duterte administration must not only continue, but wherever possible, we shall confidently build on this firm foundation established by my predecessor as it is in building an edifice. We must keep the momentum and aspire to build better, more. Necessarily, infrastructure development will remain a very high priority in our drive for growth and employment. Once again, I will not suspend any of the ongoing projects as those have already been shown to be of benefit to the public that they serve. We will continue to study the proposals that have been made. Infrastructure development spending will be sustained at 5 to 6% of GDP. The planned expansion of infrastructure projects, I believe, would be possible if we continue to encourage the participation of the private sector in the development of our programs. Public-private partnerships, or PPPs, hold great potential for that expansion, for infrastructure development and for innovation. Our infrastructure development is of primary importance as it is a necessary element to improve many other sectors, to include agriculture, tourism, general economic activity, and even to governance. It is my belief also that we have missed some great opportunities to develop our rail transport system. It is clear in my mind that railways offer great potential as it continues to be the cheapest way of transporting goods and passengers. We can build upon the already existing lines by modernizing these old railway systems. There are dozens of railway projects on the ground, above the ground, below ground, not just in Manila, but in other regions, at various stages of implementation and with a combined cost of 1.9 trillion pesos. This administration is committed to finish building the current portfolio of investments, approve railway projects such as the North-South Commuter Railway System, the 33-kilometer Metro Manila Subway Project, the 147-kilometer North-South Commuter Railway System, the 12-kilometer LRT1 Cavite Extension, 23-kilometer MRT-7 and the common station that will connect LRT-1, MRT-3, and MRT-7. And beyond NCR, larger-scale railway systems like the 102-kilometer Mindanao Railway Project, the Panay Railway Project, and the Cebu railway system will be integrated as a vital part of our transport and communication systems. We will also continue to improve our roads and transportation systems in key cities throughout the country through various projects such as the Cebu Bus Rapid Transit, Davao High Priority Bus System, Ilocos Norte Transportation Hub, the El Nido Transport Terminal. My My order to the Department of Transportation or DOTR is really very simple. Full speed ahead. Improving our railway system along with modernizing existing airports and seaports will maximize our strategic location in the Pacific and connect our many islands. A key sector in our transformation plans is that of energy. Another fundamental requirement for growth and increased employment will be the availability of cheap, reliable energy. This even comes under the category of ease of doing business. If we are to attract investors, both local and foreign, to set up shop here in the Philippines, at present, our demand for energy far exceeds our reliable supply. We must increase the level of energy production. We must look at every possible option that would be appropriate for the Philippine situation. There is some room to expand our present power supply through existing power sources, but this is only to a very limited extent. We must build new power plants. We must take advantage of all the best technology that is now available, especially in the areas of renewable energy. Our search for new power sources should always be with an eye to improving the mix of the energy supply between traditional and renewable sources. The technology on renewable energy is progressing rapidly, and many of these technologies are appropriate for the Philippines. We have already begun windmill power. We are now expanding very quickly our solar power production. For both and onshore wind turbines, for example, the World Bank has calculated that there is a potential 255 gigawatts by the year of 2030. Solar power has steadily increased its efficiency in converting sunlight to electrical power, which is particularly attractive for the Philippines. Because unlike wind power, solar power is practical almost everywhere in the Philippines all year round. In the move to lowering our carbon footprint caused by energy production, our advancement to renewables will have a lead time. In the interim, natural gas will hold the key. We will provide investment incentives by clarifying the uncertain policy in upstream gas, particularly in the area close to Malampayan. This requires clarification of the processes and review of service contracts policy. I believe that it is time also to re-examine our strategy towards building nuclear power plants in the Philippines. We will comply, of course, with the International Atomic Energy Agency regulations for nuclear power plants as they have been strengthened after Fukushima. In the area of nuclear power, there have been new technologies developed that allow smaller scale modular nuclear plants and other derivations thereof. Once again, PPPs will play a part in support as funding in this period is limited. Furthermore, we must examine the entire system of transmission and distribution for the purpose of finding ways to lower the price of energy to the consumer and to industry. We must expand the network of our transmission lines while examining schemes to improve the operation of our electrical cooperatives. All this in aid of reducing energy costs, especially but not limited to households. This impetus for development and growth we undertake within the context of accelerating climate change and extreme weather conditions. Though we are a minor contributor to climate change globally, we have the unfortunate distinction of being one of the most vulnerable countries to the effects of climate change. For the welfare of our people, it is incumbent upon us to alleviate the effects of that vulnerability. The use of renewable energy is at the top of our climate agenda. We will increase our use of renewable energy sources such as hydropower, geothermal power, solar, and wind. Geographically, we are a disaster-prone country. Capacity building for our natural disaster resiliency is therefore a must. Investment in science and technology is imperative to enable accurate weather forecasts and on-time disaster alerts. Studies show that already now, many areas in the Philippines are at high risk from the rise in sea levels brought about by the increase in global temperature. We must adapt to this phenomenon with disaster-proof planning for our communities. We will also look into the precarious fresh water supply situation in the country, especially in our urban areas. Many of our water supply systems date back to the 1950s, and they must now be rehabilitated and improved. I've instructed the DNR, together with the DPWH, to explore possible partnerships with the private sector to address this crucial situation. The Philippines has excellent laws on the environment, but we have to guarantee that these laws are properly enforced. And this will require a great deal of coordination and cooperation between concerned government agencies and private stakeholders. Companies who exploit our natural resources must follow the law. We all have the responsibility to preserve this earth, for we are but custodians and we will pass on this great treasure to future generations. There is no question that the preservation of the environment is the preservation of life. If we cannot mitigate climate change, all our plans for the economy, all our plans for our future will be for naught. Bawat Pilipino sa ibayong dagat na nagsasakripisyong lisanin ang kanyang pamilya sa Pilipinas upang maghanap buhay ay nararapat lamang magkaroon ng pamahalaang natatawag nilang tahanan habang nasa ibang bayan. Ito ang papel na gagampanan ng kagawaran ng manggagawang mandarayuhan o Department of Migrant Workers matapos itong ideklara bilang ganap na ahensya ng gobyerno ng isang taon. Ang kagawaran ito ang magsisilbing kanlungan ng ating mga kababayan sa gitna ng mundong walang kasiguruhan at mahigpit na kompetisyon. Ito ang maglalatag sa kanila ng mga oportunidad. Titiyak na ang kanilang mga hanap buhay ay tugma sa kanilang mga kasanayan. Maninigurong akma ang sahod at maayos ang kalagayan sa kanilang mga kumpanya at mga ngalaga sa kanilang mga pamilya habang sila ay nasa malayo. Gagawin natin ito sa pamamagitan ng pag-aalis ng red tape sa sistema ng pagsusulong ng digital empowerment. We shall automate the verification of contracts and issue secure overseas employment certifications that you can keep on your smartphone. I call on the Department of Migrant Workers and the DICT to make this a top priority. Tinatawagan ko rin ang Department of Foreign Affairs na makipagtulungan sa Department of Migrant Workers na tiyakin ang lahat ng mga diplomatic post ay tutulong na agarang maibalik sa trabaho ang mga ating mga overseas Filipino workers na nawalan ng hanap buhay nitong nakalipas na ilang taon. Mula sa 3 buwan ay gagawin na lang nating 3 linggo para sa isang dayuhang employer na iproseso ang mga papeles ng Pilipinas ng Pilipinong nais nitong kunin bilang empleyado. Aatasan din natin ang kagawaran ng gawing simple ang komplikadong handbook ng mga tuntunin at regulasyon para sa mga OFW. Nang sa gayon ay maging malwan ang mga transaksyon may kinalaman sa kanilang pangingibang bansa.
Sa ibang bansa
Oh,
yan.
puro yung mga tao ni Badyan. Yung mga sa Consul General yan.
ay gagawin
Mga
nating
badyaga ko dyan.
pamphlet na lamang na
Oo,
hindi
nasa
hihigit sa
gobyerno.
100 pahina. Mahirap na nga ang buhay. Kaya naman, ayaw pa natin makitang lalo pang nahihirapan ang ating mga manggagawang mandarayuhan sa pagtupad sa kanilang mga pangarap. Para sa mga kababayan nating naiipit sa kaguluhan, inaabuso at nanganganib ang buhay, ikinagagalak kong sa ilalim ng aking pamumuno ay ilulunsad natin ang One Repatriation Command Center o ORCC. Ilalaan natin ang isang social media platform ng Department of Migrant Workers at ang hotline upang matulungan agad at maligtas sila mula sa masigit na kapahamakan. Noon, nangungutang pa ang isang ina ng bawat OFW upang sumakay ng barko para pumunta sa Maynila at mangatok sa iba't ibang ahensya para mapauwi ang anak na inaapi. Ngayon, kami na ang tatawag sa mga magulang ng OFW para sabihin sa kanila sabihin sa kanila ang petsa kung kailan nila mayayakap at makakapiling ang kanilang mga anak. Sa kasalukuyan ay nakikipag-ugnayan tayo sa pamahalaan ng Saudi Arabia upang buksan muli ang deployment.
Yeah!
Kaya natin at gagawin natin
Wow!
ang
3
makipagnegosyasyon
linggo na lang.
na mabigyan ng
Hey!
bayan doon ng tamang pasahod at mapangalagaan ang kanilang
Galing naman.
karapatan at kapakanan. Muli natin patitibayin ang respeto at pagkakaibigan ng ating dalawang bansa tulad ng namamagitan sa ating ama sa kanilang hari. Sa mga susunod na buwan ay magtutungo si Secretary Susan Ople sa Saudi Arabia upang tiyakin na may sapat na puwersang magsisiguro na mabubuksan muli
Thank you, President.
ang empleo sa bansa. At para may
Nakakatas
sulong
yung sinabi
ang
mo.
ating kampanya laban sa human trafficking. Ngayon, para naman sa mga anak na naiwan sa Pilipinas,
Yan.
titiyakin ng Department of Migrant Workers sa pamamagitan ng OWA na sila ay maipapasok sa magagandang paaralan, magtuturo sa kanila ng financial literacy, mental wellness, sports, sining, kultura. Ito ay mangyayari sa pakikipagtulungan ng iba't ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan. Alagaan natin ang kabataang Pilipino sapagkat sila ang kinabukasan ng ating inambayan.
Meron sa malasakit talaga. Malasakit ang bayan. Para rin si Tatay Digong. Sabi yung tatay niya.
Deserve a home in government. Not only for the money that you send home, but you are not cold
Napakahusay talaga.
You deserve it for your sacrifices,
OFW sa ibang bansa yan.
and your perseverance and excellence in the global arena. You OFWs represent the fighting faith of the Filipinos as a
Galing
nation
talaga.
and as a people. Let us transform your
Galing
overseas
sa puso
journey
yan, ha?
into
Wala yung script.
inspirational stories
Binabasa.
for all time. Thanks to you, our dear legislators, and of course to the man every OFW now refers to as their tatay, President Rodrigo Duterte.
Wow!
You passed the law that created this new home.
Mabuhay, Tatay Digong! Galing naman.
On the area of foreign policy, I will not side over any process that will
Kung talaga si
abandon
Miguel,
even
talaga parang
one
kwan siya eh.
square inch of
Kung ano sa mga
territory
sasabi ni
of the Republic of
Tama
the
ni
Philippines to
parang
any
yung kwan siya eh.
foreign power.
Kasipay siya eh. Talagang bilib siya eh. Kung si Kwan si Miguel Subiri ba? Bilib na bilib talaga siya. Magaling yung speech niya eh. Talagang wala ka masabi.
Ayaw rin.
Talagang bilib na bilib sa sinabi niya eh. Talagang
Konti lang ito.
para talaga sa bayan talaga yung sasabi niya para manyang taong bayan eh.
Community of nations,
Para sa Tatay Digong.
the Philippines shall continue to be a friend to all, an enemy to none. The Philippines has always been open and welcoming to all our foreign friends and visitors. That is our worldview. That is our culture. But let me
Abangan mo
be
ito mamaya
clear.
sa balita.
We are very jealous of all that is Filipino.
That is Filipino.
Galing talaga.
We will be a good neighbor, always looking for ways to collaborate and cooperate with the end goal of mutually beneficial outcomes. If we agree, we will cooperate and we will work together. And if we differ, let us talk some more until we develop a consensus. After all, that is the Filipino way. But we will not waver. We will stand firm in our independent foreign policy with the national interest as our primordial guide.
Ay, sila lang.
We commit to maintaining good relations with the rest of the world. As a matter of fact, it is my sincere belief that the need for strong bonds and collaboration among nations emerges in the direst of times, such as in a pandemic.
The Philippines
The
will
partnerships and
continue to be a
alliances that we
friend
make with
to
all will provide stability that all nations will need as we emerge into this new global economy. The Philippines will continue to promote stronger and multifaceted
Tunan nga,
relationships
yung
with all
mawala.
our partners
Wala
around the world.
yung wala. Ayaw niya yung may
We are
kalaban.
in fact
Mga
grateful
away-away.
for the messages of support and offers of help that we have received from many of our friends in the international community. This has been communicated to us through the different envoys and ambassadors here in the Philippines. Such strong relationships can only be beneficial to all involved. As I am here today addressing the legislature, allow me now to propose legislation that we would like you to pass in support of these programs. 1. National Government Right-Sizing Program, a reform mechanism that seeks to enhance the government's institutional capacity to perform its mandate and to provide better services while ensuring optimal and efficient use of resources. Compared to previous government reorganization efforts, the NGRP will entail a comprehensive strategic review of the functions, operations, organization, system, and processes of the different agencies, and massive and transformational initiatives in agencies concerned, such as mergers, consolidations, splitting, transfer, and even the abolition of some offices. The right-sizing efforts will also involve the conduct of a comprehensive strategic review of functions, programs, and projects that will cut across various agencies. Number 2, a budget modernization bill. This seeks to institutionalize a cash-based budgeting system under Executive Order number 91, Series 2019, to strengthen fiscal discipline in the allocation and use of budget resources, ensuring that every peso budgeted by the government would lead to the actual delivery of programs and projects. The full implementation of the CBS is timely and vital as the government executes response and recovery plans post-pandemic. Number 3, Tax Package 3 Valuation Reform Bill. This bill provides for the A, establishment of real property values and valuation standards across the country, and B, the development of real property information system that provides for the database of all real property transaction and declarations in the country. Number 4, Passive Income and Financial Intermediary Taxation Act. This seeks to reform the taxation of capital income and financial services by redesigning the financial sector taxation into simpler, fairer, more efficient, and a revenue-neutral tax system. It also represents to adopt a regionally competitive tax system. Number 5, E-Government Act, which provides for the establishment of the E-Government Master Plan, which shall cover all e-government services and processes. Number 6, the Internet Transaction Act or e-commerce law, which aims to establish an effective regulation of commercial activities through the internet or electronic means to ensure that consumer rights and data privacy are protected, innovation is encouraged, fair advertising practices and competition are promoted, online transactions are secure, intellectual property rights are protected, and product standards and safety are observed. Number 7, government financial institutions unified initiatives to distressed enterprises for economic recovery. This seeks to provide financial assistance to distressed enterprises critical to economic recovery through programs and initiatives to be implemented by the Land Bank of the Philippines, the Development Bank of the Philippines, and the Philippine Guarantee Corporation for purposes of addressing liquidity or solvency problems of MSMEs and strategically important industries to encourage their continued operation and maintain employment. Number 8, establishment of a medical reserve corps. Establishes a medical reserve corps under the Health and Emergency Management Bureau of the DOH. The MRC shall be composed of licensed physicians, medical students who have completed their 4 years of medical courses, graduates of medicine, registered nurses, licensed allied health professionals. Number 9, National Disease Prevention Management Authority. This bill seeks to create the Center for Disease Prevention and Control attached to the DOH.
Mga kiraming aktor.
Number 10,
Oo,
the
galing talaga.
creation of the
Galing talaga si
Virology
Kwame.
Institute of the Philippines. This will
Rivera.
create the Virology Science and Technology Institute of the Philippines as an attached agency of the DOST. All offices
Yung mga
and
veteranong
units
artista
under
nasa
the
harapan.
DOST with
Yan, si
functions
Bato.
related to virology shall now be transferred
Si
to
Bato.
the Virology
Bungos
Institute
likod.
of the
Oo.
Philippines. Number 11, the
Galing
Department
talaga
of
to.
Water Resources. This seeks to create the Department of Water Resources and
Matalino
adopts the
talaga.
integrated
Parang tatay
water
niya.
resource
Walang
management
binabasang
as
kubigo.
the strategic framework for national water management
Oo. Galing
policy
talaga sa
making
puso.
and planning. Number 12, Unified System of Separation, Retirement, and Pension.
Wow.
This grants a monthly disability pension in lieu
Grabe.
disability benefits provided under existing laws for military and uniformed personnel
Sabi na niya,
retired
hinihintay ko
by
military.
reasons of
Kasi yung
disability.
sa na lang.
Number 13, the E-Governance Act. It promotes the use of internet, and other ICT to provide opportunities for citizens.
Yung parang lang hinihintay ko, yung droga na lang.
The National Land Use Act.
Sana masabi niya yun.
This will provide for a rational and holistic management and development of our country's land and water resources, hold owners accountable for making these lands productive and sustainable, strengthen the LGU to manage ecological balance within its jurisdiction. It also provides for land use and physical planning framework as a mechanism in determining policies and principles to implement this legislative measure. Number 15, the National Defense Act. This seeks to amend the antiquated National Defense Act of 1935 to provide for a change in the military structure of the armed forces of the Philippines that is more responsive to current and future non-conventional security threats to the country's territorial integrity and national sovereignty. Number 16, Mandatory Reserve Officers Training
Clarita
Corps
Carlos,
and National Service Training Program.
Wow.
Bilaw naman yun.
Sino?
Galing ka?
Seeks to reinstitute the ROTC program as a mandatory component of
Yan
senior
yung
high
nagkuha sa
school
kanya.
programs.
Oo. Hindi ka
In
kasi
all
updated
public
sa
and
mga
private
news. eh.
tertiary level educational institutes. The aim is to motivate,
Oo,
train,
clarita ang naman
organize, and mobilize students for national defense preparedness, including disaster preparedness and capacity building for risk-related situations.
Bongo. Yan si Bongo. Palakpakas kasi
Number
Bato.
17, enactment enactment of an enabling law for the natural gas industry. This seeks to foster the development of the midstream natural gas industry in a bid to strengthen Philippine energy security by diversifying the country's primary sources of energy and promoting the role of natural gas as a complementary fuel
kanila yun,
to
sa atin yun.
renewable energy. Number 18, amendments to the Electric
Natawa ng
Power
ako eh.
Industry Reform Act,
Pakita
or
natin ng
EPIRA.
ilaw.
This aims to improve the implementation of the law's provisions and enhance its effectiveness to address the high cost of
ilaw.
electricity, alleged market collusion, and insufficient
dilawan
power
naman dyan.
supply. The bill seeks to restructure the
Sabotage
Energy
yan.
Regulation Commission to foster accountability and improve the Commission's government system
Yes,
that
hello.
would ensure consumer protection and in enhancing competitive operation of the electricity market. Number 19, amendments to the bill operate transfer law. This seeks to improve the implementation of the public-private partnership program and to be able to direct the desired outcomes in line with the strategic development targets of the country. Specifically, the amendments seek to 1. Address the ambiguities in the existing law. 2. Address the bottlenecks and challenges affecting the implementation of the PPP program.
Ma-shoot yung
And
ilaw
3.
nila.
Foster a more competitive and enabling environment for PPPs. To my fellow Filipinos, ang aking mga minamahal na kababayan,
Kuhan yan.
batid ko
Yung
na
product yan.
hindi madali
Product yan.
ang ating
Light?
Oo, yung
pinagdaraanan
light ng
sa
camera.
nakaraang higit
Yung
na
mga,
2 taon.
yung mga reporter yan.
Alam ko rin,
Yung sa ano, yung sa
bawat
picture
isa sa
picture.
Oo, mga
inyo
reporter
ay
yan. May mga
ginagawa
Kuha
ang
ng
lahat
picture.
ng
Kasi
inyong
dito yung-
Flash
makakaya
ng ano,
Oo,
upang
kasi
patuloy
pwede
na
yan.
harapin ang lahat na pagsubok sa kasalukuyan. I do not intend to diminish the risks and the challenges that we face in this turbulent time in global history. And yet, I see sunlight filtering through these dark clouds. We have assembled
Sa'yo
the
naman
best
yung nag-vlog,
Filipino
sa akin
minds
hindi nag-vlog,
to help navigate us to this global crisis that we are now facing.
Hindi
We
nag-vlog sa
will
akin.
endure. Let our Filipino spirit ever remain undimmed. I know this in my mind. I know it in my heart. I know it in my very soul. The state of the nation is sound. Thank you and good afternoon.
Hindi na nabanggit ang vlog.
Ayun.
Baka nabanggit lang na kayo na hindi na natin napansin. Nag-vlog sila na lang.
Hindi naman pagkarisang nabangka mga upuan.
Ayos talaga. Wala na. Wala pa.
Yeah, I couldn't leave anything out. Ladies and gentlemen, on the part of the Senate, the joint session is adjourned. On the part of the House of Representatives, the joint session is adjourned.
Ito yung mga ano yun.
Di ba? Kasi kayo pag-anak na ano.
Ayun. Salamat sa nanonood dyan. Salamat. At siyempre, itong video na to ay courtesy sa
Kasi nga na eh.
seminar sa kaya nung isa. Ano.
Kasama lang yan. Kasama lang yan.
Oo. Itong video ko ay para din yung yung visit na sa trabaho, makapanood ng Sona ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Maraming salamat sa nag-like, siyempre sa nag-subscribe, at sa manonood. No copyright ayan guys. Tapos na po yung Sona ni Pangulong Bongbong. Ayan na po, bumaba na siya sa Senate by stage. Ayan, sinalubusan ng mga kaalyado niya, siyempre yung mga senator, yung mga congressman, at siyempre yung mga sekretary niya. So ayan. So thank you for watching guys. Maraming salamat. Ang video nito ay hatid sa iyo ng tawas. Ayan guys. Ayan. Kung sa plugin mo, wala ba siyang nakalimutan sabihin? Nasabi na ba niya lahat? Ayan. Sino yung babae na yun? Maraming salamat Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, at siyempre sa kay BP Sara Duterte, at siyempre kay Romualdez, House of Representative, saka siyempre kay Juan Miguel sino?
Senate President po.
Senate, Juan Miguel Senate President Migs Juvil. Ayan guys, siyempre ayan si yung ating mahal na Senator Lorin Ligarda. Ayan guys, nabubulol na ako guys. Kaya siyempre hindi maiwasan yung picture taking.
Mga nag-rally na si Uri, ano yan, kay
Yung mga nagrari sa labas, nilalamig dahil umulan kasi mahal ng taong bayan, mahal ng Panginoon si Pbbm, kaya yung nagrali sa labas, pinaulanan, basang-basa ng ulan, nilalamig yung iba. Yung mga susunugin sana nila ng mga kuha nila, mukha ni Bongbong, gawa-gawa nila, yun.
Hindi nasunog
Hindi
kasi
nasunog.
umulan.
So ayan,
Karma na yun, karma sa mga gawain masasama.
nakisama talaga ang panahon kay Pangulong BBM. So thank you guys, maraming salamat. Ayan, siyempre sa nanonood dyan, maraming salamat. Kaya pala ng siguro, wala.
Ayok mo na yan.
Maraming salamat.